Hey fellow locavores, it's Sarah the Urban Farm Gal. Today's recipe is going to be a roasted garlic and arugula spread, and I'm going to do two different versions. One in butter that you can use for toast, or you can melt it on pasta, and the other one I'm going to do is I'm going to add the arugula and garlic to some cream cheese. So we're going to make the arugula and garlic base first in the food processor, and then we'll split it in half and we'll add it to the butter and the cream cheese once it's all done. So I've got, this was the entire 5 ounces of arugula that we got in the little clamshell this week. I'm going to steam this for about 10 minutes, and while this is steaming, then I'll show you the other prep that I'm going to do with the garlic and some other spices we're going to add to it. While the arugula is steaming, I'm going to show you what I did with my garlic. So I roasted this earlier this week. I took the bulbs that we got from the CSA and I just wrapped them in some foil and I threw them in my solar oven for a couple of hours because there was no way I was turning on my oven this week. It's just too hot. That's why I love having my solar oven. So when it's finished, you'll be able to smell it, of course, but it should be nice and soft, and it'll look kind of this tan brown color. So I drizzled a little bit of olive oil on these before I put them in to cook. That's why they're a little glistening. So the way I like to do this, I leave them whole. I'm just kind of lazy. You can break the cloves apart and roast them separately. That'll work fine. In fact, they might roast a little quicker, but I just like to leave them whole. So if you like peel off the roots in the basil plate, then you should be able to get to the inside of this pretty easily. And then you can pull the cloves out and you can just squeeze them out of the skins, and then you'll get the nice cloves. And it's a really easy process to do that. So I've got, I don't know, there's probably 2 tablespoons of roasted garlic in here. That should be enough to go with the arugula. Give us a nice potent garlic flavor, because I do love my garlic, as everyone knows. And once you're done with this, your fingers are going to be pretty messy. So I recommend washing your hands at least 2 or 3 times with soapy water, unless you really love going to bed at night with the smell of garlic on your fingers. So while we're waiting for the arugula to finish steaming, I've pulled a little bit of parsley that I dried. So this is about, I guess when it crushes down, it's going to be about a teaspoon, but right now it's probably 2 tablespoons of whole leaves. So I've decided that my main herbs in this are going to be celery and dill. I recommend using celery seed. I don't have, well, I do have celery seed, but I want to use this. This is from my garden. I grew some celery a couple years ago, and it turned out pretty small, and it was a little bitter. So I decided to dry it, and then I ground it up as a powder. So that's what I'm using today. So I'm going to start with a ½ teaspoon of ground up celery, and then I think I'm going to do a full teaspoon of dill. And then I'm going to add a ½ teaspoon of onion powder, just because I was going to add chives and then I realized I don't have any chives. I ate them all, so I need to go cut some and dry them, and then I'll be set for chives again. And I'm going to add a ½ teaspoon of paprika. That was kind of a heaping teaspoon, so whatever. We're going to wait for the arugula to finish steaming. It's getting close. It's turning bright green. And then we're going to dump everything in the food processor, give it a good whirl, and then we'll add it to our butter. Okay, the arugula is finished steaming. I only cooked it for about 8 minutes. It was really done by that point, so just keep an eye on it and see when it starts to kind of cook down. I pulled it out and I ran some cold water over to stop the cooking process and to cool it off a little bit so it doesn't melt my butter and cream cheese. And then I squeezed a little water out, and then I'm going to put it on a paper towel, which is sitting on top of a larger towel. I'm going to fold it, and then I'm going to roll it and try to squeeze as much water out of it as possible so that we don't end up with watery butter and cream cheese. Okay, once you roll your arugula in the towel, it condenses down to a tiny little ball of arugula, and it once filled this entire container. Okay, now we're going to throw it in the food processor. In arugula you go. We're going to throw in the dried parsley, and we're going to throw in the herbs and spices and that roasted garlic. This smells really good. All right, put the lid on and let's give it a whirl. Pop the lid. You can see it's starting to incorporate. That smells zesty. This is actually too little for my food processor. My mini food processor, which broke on me, I still haven't replaced. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and divide it between these two, and then I'm gonna put the butter in, whirl it up. Then I'll put the cream cheese in and whirl it up too. Spoonful there, spoonful there, another spoonful there. We'll start with the butter. Let's give this a whirl, see how she looks. That's the consistency I'm looking for, right there. You can see the consistency of this now. It's really good. And then I'm gonna put it in a little container, and when it refrigerates and hardens up, it'll be just like butter. Same thing with the cream cheese. Pulse it up. Stir everything down. Oh, it's already looking really good. But we'll give it one more little spin. By the way, I don't think I mentioned this, but I used a ½ cup of butter and I used 4 ounces of cream cheese. So now what I need to do is test them, because I didn't add any salt and I use unsalted butter. But I'm just going to take a quick little, ooh, that's good. Oh, smear that on a bagel. Oh, it's gonna be so good. Yes. So now, I'm gonna put my butter in containers, so I save my cream cheese containers. So I'm gonna put my cream cheese in a cream cheese container, so I will remember what it is. And of course, don't forget to label it. Yummy. I like that. There's a little hint of sweetness to it. It's not too garlicky. It has a nice garlic sense about it. I'm using this little container to put the butter in. I think it'll be plenty big. That's gonna be a close fit. That's a perfect fit. The butter is all in my little container. Put my lid on it. Perfect fit. I think this would be really good over some grilled corn. Too bad I don't have corn for dinner tonight. So anyway, 2 very simple little recipes, a way to use up your arugula and your garlic from this week's CSA share. Okay, till next week, hope you have a great week. Enjoy your share. Thanks for eating like a local, and we'll see you next week. That's some good garlic. Oh, yummy. And I'm gonna cook my eggs. Got some extra eggs, so I'm gonna steam some eggs. Did you know that you can steam eggs instead of boiling them and still get hard cooked eggs? They're just not hard boiled eggs, they're hard steamed eggs. I made homemade hamburger buns. No, I made homemade hot dog buns. And I'm gonna take some of this arugula garlic butter. I'm gonna smear it on top of those hot dog buns, and I'm gonna toast them a little bit. I think it'll be really good. And